Hello, welcome. I am Abigail. It feels like I haven't done a video in forever. I'm not even going to make an excuse. Life is busy, motherhood is busy, raising children, keeping on top of a house and working is busy. Anyway, wanted to give you a little update. If you don't follow me on Instagram, then you might not know that I am pregnant with baby number 2. I am currently now in my 3rd trimester, so it is a whirlwind. But I wanted to come on and make a video about it because I am doing things slightly differently this time around compared to my pregnancy with Everly. And when I started making YouTube videos when Everly was a baby, I always wished that I started them when I was pregnant, just to have something to look back at, like during my pregnancy, to follow like how I felt. And so once you've had the baby, it seems so surreal that you were pregnant. You almost can't remember being pregnant because you can't imagine life without your baby. So I really wanted to do it this time around, but unfortunately I didn't get around to doing it. And now I'm in my 3rd trimester, time is ticking, so I wanted to start. But basically I am having a wild pregnancy and a free birth. So if you don't know, I am in the UK, we are UK based, and in the UK free births are quite uncommon. There's a lot of pressure from medical professionals to follow through with the traditional way. Traditional in terms of like modern day tradition, rather than way we are built as mammals, but to give birth and to have pregnancy. And pregnancy and birth seems to be treated as a medical emergency in a lot of countries around the world, and I actually massively disagree. And after our really traumatic experience with Everly's birth and the pregnancy, we opted out literally before we'd even left the hospital. We knew that we were not going to be putting ourselves through that again, putting our children through that again. It just wasn't going to happen. So we are having a wild pregnancy, which means that we are not getting any medical appointments, any unnecessary ultrasounds, growth scans, the measuring of the bump, all the testing, the blood tests, the urine sample. We're not doing any of that. We have got a radical birth keeper, kind of like a doula kind of thing, if you are familiar with what a doula is. She's amazing. We've known her for a little while because she's also a photographer, and she's done a photo shoot for us before. She was also present at my friend's birth. She had a free birth and she was there. So I have built a relationship with her for her to be at my birth, for her to educate me around pregnancy and birth, and letting your body do what women's bodies are supposed to do, what we're built to do. You know, we are built to conceive, carry, birth and feed children. Human anatomy wise, that's what our bodies are put on this earth to do. And she's so good at educating me, and I'm obviously doing my own research as well to make this informed decision to have a free birth and a wild pregnancy. But she is amazing. Obviously she's got relevant training and has attended lots of free births, and she's had her own, so she can, you know, really vouch and advocate for it. So I am in the safest possible hands. But even if I wasn't, even if we didn't choose to go down the route of having her as a like healthcare professional kind of thing, you know, I still trust my body to do what it's made to do. I had a really good, in terms of the way my body laboured and give birth to Everly, it did what it was intended to do. It did the job. I had a natural birth. I had a pain relief free birth, which is what I wanted. but it was in the hospital, and everything, when we, you know, kind of decode the birth, when we pull apart everything that was traumatic to us, that was something that was kind of a red flag kind of thing, every single thing that we can see in hindsight is unnecessary intervention from the hospital's point of view, and also from the minute I left the home, from the minute I left my home to go to the hospital, it just seemed to be downhill from there in terms of like how regular my contractions were, how painful my contractions were, how fast I was dilating, and if you don't know, that is all down to your oxytocin levels, which is like your happy hormone, which obviously if I'm going into hospital, I'm stressed. I'm not in the comfort of my own home, I'm not in a familiar surrounding, I'm not free to walk around and, you know, shower and bath and sleep in a place where I'm familiar with. But anyway, so that is kind of the reason why we have chosen to free birth and have a wild pregnancy this time around. In terms of like having another child, obviously it's so exciting. Our baby is due towards the end of the year, autumn, winter. Everly's birthday and this baby is due pretty close together, within a few weeks. But I don't think I'll have 2 under 2. I think Everly's will turn 2 first. We have also had a scan, a private scan, just to make sure there's only one baby in there. So just one ultrasound. We found out the gender, which was obviously exciting. We have not told anybody, so nobody knows the gender of our next baby but us, which is also really exciting. I didn't want to find out, but I had to meet my partner somewhere in the middle and he really wanted to know. So we know the gender, we know there's only one baby, we know everything was okay in that ultrasound, so we don't need any of the unnecessary testing that the NHS offer. So yeah, that's so exciting. I am still breastfeeding. We have had a bit of a bumpy ride in regards to breastfeeding during this pregnancy because my milk dried up and I had to dry nurse Everly for a little while, which if you've dry nursed before, it can be really quite painful. Not painful, it's quite uncomfortable, but we did push through. My milk's starting to come back in now, like colostrum's starting to come back in, and it's not so uncomfortable anymore to feed her. But luckily she didn't self-wean or anything when my milk dried up. She just carried on to nurse for the comfort. And yeah, I will be tandem feeding by the looks of things, which is really exciting, which is something that I'm really excited to do, because I felt like after I got to a point with breastfeeding, you know, I pushed through the early days, pushed through the tongue tie and the mastitis and the blocked ducts and the returning to work, and then there was kind of nothing. Our breastfeeding journey just like sailed along, which is perfect, which is great. But I started this channel to talk about breastfeeding and like support mothers to breastfeed and educate. So I kind of hit a point in the road where I had no videos to make because I had nothing to update. I had no new knowledge in regards to different paths that you might go down when breastfeeding. So now obviously I can discuss dry nursing, and I will potentially go on to discuss tandem feeding as well. But yeah, it is so exciting. We are so excited. It's really creeping up now. I feel like the second time around you're not as organised. Like, I didn't start buying clothes until like, I don't know, maybe like 20 something weeks. And like by that point with Everly, I had everything. Everything. I always get memories because the babies are quite, they're due in quite similar, Everly and this baby. my pregnancy with Everly is almost on par 2 years ago with this one. So sometimes I get like time hops and memories pop up on my phone of like me preparing to have Everly, you know, putting up the next to me crib and washing her clothes and getting her bedroom ready. And this time around I'm like, I haven't done any of that. But I have learnt my lesson, you know, as long as I have milk in my breasts and a bed for baby to sleep on next to me, everything will be fine. We don't need the fancy stuff, and a sling. You need a sling. But yeah, that's a little update. If you do want, I am going to do kind of maybe like a nest with me video when I ever get round to cleaning getting baby's clothes and things ready. Obviously I have to be careful because about showing colours, although a lot of the clothes are neutral anyway. But yeah, that's where we're at. If you would like to know more about like dry nursing, it doesn't happen to all women and it is a hormone imbalance kind of thing, so I think it can be prevented, and the pain, the uncomfortableness can also be prevented slightly with magnesium, I believe, but I didn't try that. It wasn't excruciating to the point where I felt like I had to try and medicate it. But yeah, I also want to film the birth of this baby. Whether it will go on the internet or not is a completely different story, because it might be an experience that we want to keep more private. But we'll see how it goes. Maybe it'll go on the internet, maybe it won't. But yeah, I'm so excited. I feel like there isn't a lot of I seem to have watched all the free births on the internet videos that I can possibly watch, and there's not a lot of women talking about the reasons why they choose to free birth, kind of what free birth is. I don't even think people know that it's an option. You know, a lot of people have said to me, is that legal? Like, yes, it's legal. The NHS are aware that I am pregnant. I've just chosen not to use them for healthcare. The National Health Service isn't servicing me for my health during my pregnancy because it isn't something they need to do. But yeah, let me know. Thanks so much for watching. Hello if you're new. If you are, please subscribe and give me some video ideas. If you're old, thank you for coming back, and hopefully I'll see you sooner rather than later this time.